Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. A stunning case has come to light from agricultural villages in Tamil Nadu. Entire land of as many as 6 villages in Trichy district is being claimed as Waqf land by the Tamil Nadu Waqf Board. Yes, you heard it right. Not one mosque area or an Eidgah Maidan or patches of land. Entire villages, which are primarily Hindu population villages with centuries-old temples, are being claimed as belonging to the state Waqf Board in entirety. What's stunning is that despite no history of the Waqf Board or Islam in these villages, which are largely agricultural in nature, the local registrar refused to allow buying and selling of these lands held by locals in their families and settled for generations. To sell their own property, they were being asked to produce an NOC, a no objection certificate from the Waqf Board of the state. No wonder that there is high alarm in these villages, especially the village of Thiruchendurai, where locals have just learned that their own land doesn't belong to them anymore, even though they hold all the papers. This case blew up when one man, Rajagopal, tried to sell his land and was informed that he needs an NOC. The locals are also planning a protest, we are being told. The Tamil Nadu Higher Education Minister Mahesh Poyamurthy has said, he hails from Trichy, has said that a quick resolution will be found. But the larger question is, how can a Waqf board that seemingly has no relation to these villages even claim that the entire land belongs to them? Can vast stretches of rural villages even belong to a religious body that has no relation to these regions at all? We will take those larger questions to our guests in just a bit, and a reminder that the man whose case blew open this entire scandalous alleged land grab case is joining us in just a bit. Listen in to the man himself who was told he can't sell his own land. But first, let me break down this story a little bit more. So this is what has happened. The Tamil Nadu Waqf Board has claimed that entire Thiruchendurai village is their property. They have made this claim to the state government as well. The Waqf Board claims that tens of thousands of acres of land in Trichy district actually belong to them, and these include vast stretches and entire villages. The authorities refused land sale and registry by locals, claiming that these lands belong to the Waqf Board. And a Waqf Board NOC, as I mentioned, was needed to sell any land in the village. This is what some of the villagers were told. The locals, of course, say that they have all the revenue department papers and documents that they own these pieces of land. This is what the registrar office is claiming. They reportedly said that there are encroachments on water bodies, Waqf Board properties and temple properties in this area, that unrelated persons claim and they hold lands with forged documents, and many are embroiled in legal disputes. That the state government took stock of this situation and took measures in 2016 to recover some of these assets, and then that's presumably the time that the Waqf Board also stepped in to figure out what properties they have under them and to recover those properties across Tamil Nadu. The state Waqf Board then asked the registration of deeds in respect of certain properties to be stopped, and that has created this latest impasse. Villages, entire villages including Thiruchendurai and Kalakurichi, are identified as Waqf Board properties. Several local activists and local BJP has now taken up this matter. They are challenging the claim of the Waqf Board, citing the history of the villages that has no connection to the Waqf. In fact, Trichy BJP leader Prakash cited documents and evidences of temples in the village. He says that documents clearly show that one of the temples is almost as old as 1500 years. The temple, in fact, owns 369 acres of land inside and outside this village. So how can the Waqf claim that the land belongs to them without any evidence and without showing any relation to the land? Is the charge that is coming in from the BJP. Now, many of you will be wondering, how is it even possible that a Waqf Board or any other institution can just claim that vast stretches of land just belongs to them with no papers, or when others actually have papers? The catch may lie in the Waqf Act of 1995. This act gives singular power to the Waqf boards, which comprise only of Muslims, to deem any land as theirs. In fact, it wouldn't be unfair to say that they are the judge, jury and executioner as per this act. They make an internal assessment of whether a land is theirs or not, and can even show cause someone to ask why their land should not be included as Waqf land. There is in fact a petition in the Supreme Court filed against this act, and these are some of the grounds that have been mentioned. First, of course, is that Waqf is not a word that is even mentioned anywhere in the Constitution and is against secularism and integrity. That this act is arbitrarily enacted and is religion bias that violates Article 1415 because no other such provision exists for any other religion in India. Now here's the kicker. This petition also clearly says that there is no safeguard to other religions to save their properties from inclusion into the Waqf list. It also goes on to say that Waqf board has been given unbridled powers to register any property as theirs. So the big question that's coming up today, in this case, there's a stunning case of alleged land grabbing that is coming to light. What's really the Thiruchendurai truth? We'll get you more voices of those who belong to Trichy and many more of the locals. First up, here's a report by my colleague Purnima, who travelled to this village and got to know firsthand from the villagers what plight they're facing.
சவுக்கு பிள்ளையார் கோயிலுக்கு ஒரு ஏக்கர் இருக்குது. இந்த சொந்த நிலத்தையும் எல்லாம் எடுத்துருக்காங்க. இது இல்லாமல் கோயில் உள்பட இந்த கிராமத்தில் உள்ள அனைத்து மக்களுக்கு குடியிருக்கக்கூடிய குடியிருப்பு மனை முதற்கொண்டு கவர்மெண்ட்டில் வந்து வகுப்பாத்து ஒப்படைச்சதாக சொல்லியிருக்காங்க.
Is Thiruchendurai Village, one of the 6 villages in Trichy district that now belong to the Waqf board. Anyone who wants to sell land or wants to buy land should now get an NOC from the Waqf board. Villagers here have been raising that they got documents proving that they bought these land parcels, these farmlands, and they have been here for the last 4 to 5 decades. And why should now the registrar say that their land now belongs to the Waqf board?
कम से कम 7,000 घर है. मैं क्या बोल रहा है, पूरा भी मिला के कम से कम 16-17 एकड़ है. ये 16-17 एकड़ भी ये वक्त का है बोल के बोल रहे हैं लोग.
Villagers are angry that the hard-earned money that they have spent building their homes and the farmlands, all these now no more belong to them as per the latest orders, and that's why protests are planned for the 14th of September.
First up, Rajagopal, who belongs to the Mulikarupur village, owning agricultural land in Thiruchendurai. The village in question is actually joining us. I spoke to him earlier to talk about his ordeal, and my colleague Purnima was with him translating. So I began by asking him, what happened when you went to sell your land?
My name is N. Rajagopal. I belong to Mulikalambur village. When I went to sell my land to the registrar office in Chennai, they told me to get an NOC from Chennai. I asked them as to why they didn't inform earlier, for which they had no answers. I felt uneasy that very second. I fell ill and returned home soon. They told me to go to the Waqf board in Chennai and get an NOC. Otherwise, I couldn't register, I was told.
Is this situation only specific to you, or are there other people who are also being impacted by this development?
After I went to the registrar office, I was the first to discover this in my village. I was the first to be impacted. I was told that my case is the first to come up like this and that I should get an NOC from Chennai. Yes, they have been impacted. Not just one or two, the entire village has been impacted by this development.
Rajagopalji, can you also tell me how many temples are there in this village, for example? And is the Waqf claiming that the temple land also belongs to them?
There are 4 to 5 temples in the area, and they claim the lease of the land where temple stands also belong to them.
Okay, finally, now that an NOC has been demanding from you, what will be your next move? What are you going to do about this?
We have written to the Chief Minister Stalin, and we have also approached the concerned minister. They have promised to look into the matter and resolve it soon.
So that's Rajagopal, who belongs to this village. And as he very clearly mentioned, his case, when he went to sell his land, kind of blew open this entire nexus that is emerging now. I do thank him for joining us. And I also want to go across to my colleague Purnima, who's joining us live from Trichy. Purnima, this is a sensational case. I mean, as stunning as it gets. And you've been speaking to a lot of locals of these villages throughout the day. I'm sure they must be stunned to learn that somebody can just claim the land that they own on paper now belongs to somebody else.
Absolutely. Apart from 6 villages that are now entirely listed by the Waqf board, here are a bunch of people who own homes, land parcels in the town, in Trichy town, and they are here trying to ensure that the Waqf board do not list their properties, because they say that they've been living here for 6 to 7 generations and they have documents to prove that they own the place where they stay or the place where they work, but right now they are scared that they may lose it very soon. क्या problem है आपका? अभी आप fear में रहते हो क्या?
अभी जो हमारा जो जायदाद थे ये रजिस्टर नहीं करना बोल के उसको गवर्नमेंट से ऑर्डर किया है, तो वक्फ बोर्ड से ऑर्डर किया है, इसलिए हम परेशान हैं। हम इधर से 6 खानदान ने 6 हमारा ग्रैंड पा इनके 6 खानदान से हम इधर में जी रहे हैं। सबका भी हमारा खास घरदार है इधर, हमारा पूरा उसके लिए पट्टा है, हमारे पास उसका पूरा पत्र में पूरा डॉक्यूमेंट्स पूरा का पूरा है। तभी भी अभी ये लोग क्या बोल रहे हैं, ये वक्फ बोर्ड का जगह है, इसके लिए कोई भी अभी रजिस्टर नहीं करना बोल के बोले हैं। इसके लिए हमारे को बहुत मुश्किल हो गया अभी हम पूरे भी इधर गरीब लोग हैं, इधर कौन भी बहुत करोड़पति आदमी नहीं है। ऐसे इसका रख के हमारे को पूरा जीवाधार इसके लिए ही है। अभी ये पूरा नहीं बोलेगा तो हमारे लिए बहुत मुश्किल होएगा। हम बैंक को जा नहीं सकते, हम बेच नहीं सकते, हम कुछ भी एक इसके ऊपर हेल्प नहीं कर सकते। बोल तो फिर हमारे पीढ़ी को, हमारे बच्चों के लिए हम देंगे क्या? ये हमारे साथ पूरा अन्याय हुआ है। इसके लिए हमारा गवर्नमेंट पूछना चाहिए इसको।
Are you also shocked with the latest news about your properties now being part of the Waqf board or the Waqf land?
या 100%। हम तो बहुत चिंता में हैं, लेकिन घर पे एक शादी है, शादी मनाने का है, उसके लिए हम घर को पतिया के रहते हैं। जो घर बैंक में रखते हैं, लोन लेते हैं, शादी बनाते हैं। जो किसी को हॉस्पिटलाइज्ड करने का है, वो उसको भी बहुत चिंता हो रहा है।
अच्छा, आपका नेक्स्ट प्लान क्या है?
नेक्स्ट प्लान तो हमारा है, गवर्नमेंट के पास हम बोलेंगे। हमारे तक है ना, गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर हम ना फुल विश्वास है। हम स्टॉलिन जो अच्छा करेंगे बोल के हमको विश्वास कर रहे हैं हम, मगर कुछ
सबमिट करेंगे,
पेटिशन सीएम को सबमिट करेंगे और कलेक्टर को सबमिट करेंगे, सब लोग को सबमिट करेंगे। कुछ अच्छा नहीं होया तो इसके बाद हम दूसरे हम सारे हकीम साहब में सारा हमारा ताकत जो है वो ताकत लड़ाएंगे।
So there you can see a lot of people have been impacted. It's not 1 or 2 people in this entire Trichy district. Apart from 6 villages, there are also people who live in the city center who now live in fear. They don't know what next, and they now hope that the Tamil Nadu government intervenes and settles this case amicably, because they say that they've been staying here for generations after generations, and now they don't know when they will ensure that their land belongs to them, their homes belong to their own family.
Absolutely.
हम 1918 से इधर रहते हैं। इसका पहला का पत्र जो हमारे को मिला है, हम 1918 से इधर में हैं, उसका पत्र है ये। इसका पहला में जो हमारे को दिए हैं वो 1908 में आया है।
So they have documents also to prove that it all belongs to them, and they wonder what evidence does the Waqf board have to list all their properties saying that it's their land. So
yeah,
they
in fact,
say
that's
that
the
they have all
biggest
the
question
evidence,
now.
they have all the documents.
Purnima, as these villagers and even local city dwellers are telling you very clearly, they go back as much as the 11th century. So where is this claim even coming from? I will come back to you, Purnima, in just a bit, but I also want to open this up to our guests joining us now. Ashwini Upadhyay, advocate who has filed a petition against the Waqf Act in the Supreme Court, is joining us. Also, advocate Ramaswamy Mayappan. JVC Sriram is a political strategist and commentator. He actually belongs to Thiruchendurai Village in Jiyapuram, Trichy district. B.R. Srinivasan is also a political strategist and commentator who hails from Trichy. Suman C. Raman is a political analyst, and Alur Prakash is district secretary, BJP Media Wing, also belonging from Trichy, who's joining us. Ashwini Upadhyay, I want to come to you first up because this is a sensational claim that has come to light and most people can't understand how a claim like this can even be made. How can the Waqf board even say that these entire villages belong to them with no history really of land, sale or deeds with them? And I'm reading your petition. You have specifically said in your petition that in section 40 of the Waqf Act, a unique provision has been made authorizing the Waqf boards to make an inquiry in respect of any land to find out whether the property is Waqf property or not. The Waqf board has reason, if the Waqf board has reason to believe that any property belongs to them, it may call upon any trust or society to show cause as to why that property cannot be included as Waqf property. And even any dispute only goes to a tribunal of the Waqf board itself. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes, Shivani, thank you for debating this issue. It's a very important issue. And that Waqf board, just see the combination. One MLA is the member of the board who should be Muslim. One member of parliament who should be Muslim. One IS officer who should be Muslim. One town planner or engineer who should be Muslim. One advocate also Muslim. One scholar also Muslim. And one mutawalli. So all the 7 members are Muslim. MLA is Muslim, MP is Muslim, town planner is Muslim, IS is Muslim, advocate is Muslim, scholar is Muslim, and mutawalli is by default is a Muslim. So this board, if put fingers on my house and say this is the Waqf property, I have to go before this board only. I cannot go to the court. I cannot go to any other place. I cannot go to the High Court. I have to go to this board which have 7 members and all the 7 members are Muslim.
But how is this possible, Ashwini ji?
In fact, Congress
under law, how is it even possible that you cannot go to any court if you have a dispute? And let's say tomorrow the Waqf says that this land belongs to me. You cannot go to court. Is that what you're saying under this act?
I am giving another example. You are sitting in your studio in Noida. If Noida UP Waqf board comes to your office and says this CNN studio is the Waqf property, you cannot go to the Noida court. You cannot go to the Allahabad High Court. You have to go to the Lucknow before the Waqf board which has MLA Muslim, MP Muslim, advocate Muslim, IS officer Muslim, town planner Muslim, one scholar Muslim and one mutawalli Muslim. This is the fact. This the act says. I say now, Congress committed many historical wrongs. 1991, Places of Worship Act. 1992, Minority Act, Minority Commission Act. Then 1995, this Waqf Act. Unfortunately, we have challenged 1990 Waqf also, 1992 Act also, and 1995 Act also. And see how this act is. Article 14 says every citizen is equal. This act is totally against Article 14. Article 15 says you cannot discriminate Hindus and Muslims. This act discriminates. Article 25 says every citizen has the right, freedom of religion, right to religion. This act totally against Article 25. Article 26 says every citizen has right to manage, maintain their religious places. This act is totally against Article 26. Article 29 says we have right to culture, but it is also against 29 itself.
That's can I just focus, of course, on the provisions of whether in a secular country a law like this should exist only for one section of community is a separate argument. But Ashwini Upadhyay, I want to understand from you, because what you're disclosing, I don't think many people know and understand. You have also mentioned in your petition, no elaborate provision has been made in the Waqf Act to identify and determine the status of property as Waqf property. And the provision made for inclusion of a property as Waqf property is not in conformity with the principles of natural justice. Can you just give me an idea? How does this work? Can the Waqf board internally assess and say that this property is ours and then nobody can challenge it?
The natural justice, a basic principle in India is that, Shivani, if I come to your home, I say that your home is my home, please vacate. Then I have to go to the court. I have to file civil suit that this property is mine, but Shivani is here. Unfortunately, under this Waqf Act, Muslims have a special power. Muslims are not supposed to go to the court. They just inform the Waqf Pact that this is my property. Waqf board member will come. Waqf board member will say, now you prove that this is your property. Now you prove that this is your property. If you don't have the paper, if you don't have something, it's by default it's a Waqf property. So in India, any property where a person, whether a SC, ST person or a scheduled tribes like this, who don't have the document,
Yeah.
at that place Waqf board goes that say this is my property. Unfortunately, that poor people, that poor scheduled caste, scheduled tribe,
But
who
don't
generally
they,
don't have the valid paper.
Ashwini ji,
just-
don't they need the
Yes.
government to ratify that claim as per land records, as per a deed? Doesn't the Waqf board have to prove something that they own that land?
Waqf board has not to prove anything. Even you have to prove that this is your land, this is your ancestor land. And unfortunately, if you have the documents, still if Waqf board says this is the Waqf property, then you cannot go to the court. You have to approach before the same board which is saying this is your not property.
I don't understand how a law
वही
like this
थानेदार,
has
वही दरोगा
existed.
और वही अदालत
How,
और वही
I don't
कोर्ट.
understand how a law like this has existed in India for so long. But just hold on with me, because I've got two people who actually hail from Trichy. JVC Sriram, can you hear me? What do you make of the case that has come to light from Trichy? And you must have heard from the locals that we also spoke to.
See, it's my village, it's my ancestral properties are there. I can tell you my own house.
Yeah.
The first registration I can see is from the year 1917.
Okay.
1917, 17th May 1917, Justice Seshagiri Iyer was the person who had bought this land and built his house, and it is known to everybody. And it is from this village the former Home Secretary and the Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu, Mr. T.V. Venkatraman. T stands for Thiruchendurai. He hails from that village. My J stands for Jiyapuram, where I hail from. So the point here is there is a temple which has been existing and does exist for the last 1,000 or 1,500 years. And that is a temple called as Padal Petra Kshetram, which means, where around 270 odd temples where saints went and sang. And that is the temple. And this is a place where the majority community is Muttaraja community, who are also called Ambalathakarar, which means they are the protectors of the temple. They protected Srirangam temple, they protected Chandrasekhara Swami temple, which you are talking about. Now, how can they claim it as a Waqf property? Because let me talk about from myself, my own self. My property is registered by the first registration happened in 1917. When did the Waqf board come into existence? When did the Waqf board, to my knowledge, it came to existence only in 1954. What is the proof they have? Do they have any evidence? Do they have any notification or document which shows these things? And there is a temple nearby. And the fact that there was a railway line which was constructed, and there is a adjacent to my village. Because between my house, there are one side is a railway line, another side is the Kaveri river. It is a fertile land, and behind the temple and the railway line, there is agricultural land. And these are places where there are hardly around 15 to 20 Muslim families who reside in this particular village.
Okay.
And still, you call it as a Waqf property? I can't understand.
No,
I
this
do
is
not
indeed
question
shocking.
where it is coming
I
from.
don't understand how something like this even works like this. And of course, not many people know that the Waqf Act 1995 gives such sweeping powers to a Waqf board. Sumant, I see your finger. I'm going to come back to you. Just give me 1 second. B.R. Srinivasan is also joining us. Mr. Srinivasan, am I correct in saying that you also hail from Trichy? What is your view?
Yes, Shivani, thank you for asking me to join. First thing is this just the tip of the iceberg? Are we just seeing the tip now, and is the iceberg still under the sea? So that's what we need to check. Is this a blessing in disguise? As much as this is unfortunate, as much as this is unacceptable, but are we just going to dig more and more and find out such blatant violations of laws and regulations that have gone for a toss? So that's the first question, because at the moment we started getting these on tweets, on social media, a lot of people have started coming and telling, even in E-Road this is a problem, even in another village they are having this problem. So when did this actually come in? So 1995 Waqf Act, and as JVC Sriram said rightly, there are hardly few Muslim families. Till 15 years back, there was not even a mosque in this village.
Okay.
These are predominantly Hindu villages. There was not even a mosque till 15 years back. So a mosque comes in 15 years back. and then these things are happening recently. Are we then to blame the state government? This is like adding insult to injury. We already have issues with temple lands being managed by the state government, and they are being mismanaged and they are being swindled. And now they have started having issues with residential houses, residential plots, the fertile agricultural lands, and to everybody's knowledge, this part of the region, this region in Tamil Nadu is the most fertile agricultural region ever. Because this is where the Kaveri river is at this widest stretch. It is called the Aganta Kaveri, the
Mr.
widest stretch.
Srinivasan, can you think of any reason at all that the Waqf board will claim that these entire 6 villages or maybe beyond belong to them? Is there any reason that comes to your mind?
They are claiming 234 acres currently. And today there has been a peace meeting that has been conducted by the district collector where people from different communities have had a meeting, and the outcome is completely not known officially yet. But why should there be a peace meeting at all? So till 2 years back, people known to me have registered, have done land transaction, house transactions, that they have bought and sold without any issues. So till 2 years back, people known to me have sold and bought. That there was no requirement of NOC, then why did this suddenly come?
Why has it happened suddenly? I will try to go back to my colleague Purnima to figure out if she has figured this out from the local villagers. But before I move on, Suman Sriraman, you wanted to come in. Let me bring you in. Then Allur Prakash, who is the district secretary of the BJP media wing, is also joining us. This puts a cloud and a doubt, Suman, on all claims that Waqf properties that fall under Waqf property or Waqf boards make. If there is no proper system to even ascertain that a land is a Waqf property, but for a claim by a Waqf board, this puts a cloud and a question mark on all such claims.
Okay, Shivani, first of all, I'm sure all the participants on this debate are aware that the list of Waqf properties has been digitized in Tamil Nadu, and it has been put up on a portal, and anybody who's participating in this debate can go there and see it. So the portal is basically wamsi.nic.in, and in that, if you actually look for Thiruchendurai Village, they have listed 2 properties of agricultural land. One of it is Waqf ID TN 150783. Property ID AG002, where they've listed about 389.03 acres under the management of a Muttawali. Now, whether this is a accurate data or not, whether there is any claim that the Waqf has, how did this come here? All of these are issues which the government has to clarify. Before that, we are jumping the gun and, saying that this property is has become Waqf property. It is for
we are not saying that. We are not saying that it has become Waqf property.
How many of the people who are
we are not saying that this has become Waqf property. Obviously, it doesn't become Waqf property like that. But what we are discussing and debating is that how can entire villages, and you mentioned 300 plus acres, our other guest was mentioning only about 250 acres. How can 300 plus acres be even claimed by a Waqf board?
Look, it is listed there. Temple lands and Waqf lands often run into hundreds of acres. Now we need the government to actually issue a clarification. How many of the people participating in this debate actually went and searched on this portal to identify if the Waqf has any claim? Now, is this claim
genuine? But you are only saying
that
they are mentioning 300 plus acres as Waqf land. How?
No.
Shivani ji.
This is, look, 1 minute, let me finish.
Okay, let him finish. Ashwini ji, I'll come back to you. Let Suman finish.
Let me finish, sir. We do not know the total area of the village. We do not know what is specifically the land which is claimed. We do not know if the data which the Waqf claim as ratified by the government, because the Waqf board comes under the government of Tamil Nadu in a kind of a managerial way, is basically accurate or not. Yet we are carrying this story on national television essentially to create more polarization.
No, I'm sorry. You cannot cover stories just because it makes somebody uncomfortable. I'm sorry. Suman, that's not a fair argument. We've gone to the village and actually spoken to villagers, and those villagers have told us what has happened to them. The fact that the registrar refused to even register their sale deed is a problem. Yes, both our
What is
Trichy
the
guests want to
total-
come in. Srinivasan, very quickly, before I bring in Mayappan as well.
Very quickly, very quickly. Suman's argument cannot be accepted because why should it, if it is my property for generations, if it has been my property, why would I go and check our portal before selling or buying anything? So I to know it is just a shocker to me to even say that if it is my seventh generation they've handed me of my property and there's been no dispute and people have been selling and buying all around for years and years, why should I go and say whether this belongs to what or not? This is my property.
Mr.
And suddenly a registrar comes and says, go and get an NOC and then we all have to go back and trace and see whether the Waqf is holding or whether I am holding it. What kind of an argument is this? That's why I said
It
this
is
is a
for
shocker.
the
It's a
government to
sympathy
clarify,
exercise.
sir. Why are you? I don't understand this. It is not for the Waqf board to clarify. It is for the government to clarify. The government
We will get a clarification from the government. That's precisely why we're raising this issue. One second, please don't speak over each other. The fact is that the government indeed needs to step in and clarify what the situation is. But again, I'm asking a fundamental question. How can even a claim like this be made? Before I go to Shriram, yes, Ashwini Upadhyay, you wanted to come in.
Yes, Shivani ji, do we have a Waqf board or Waqf pact like law for Hindus? No. Do we have a similar provisions for Jains? No. Do we have similar board for Sikhs? No. Do we have similar provisions for Christians? No. Do we have any such a type of board or law for Parsis? No. Only for Muslims. And we claim that we are the secular country. And we claim that no, we want to integrate the nation. This act is only for Muslims. Only Muslims are the Indian citizen. Hindus are the second class citizen. Jain, Bauddha, Sikh, Parsis, Christians are the second class citizen. Why only a special provision, a special law, a special board for only Muslims?
Okay,
Either
no, that's
there
a
should
fair
no
point,
such a
but
law.
that's a
Otherwise
slightly separate
there should be a
argument,
uniform
which
code.
I'm sure you will obviously argue in court. But I think what we need to focus on is how a claim can be made for a Waqf land and how that claim can be discussed, arbitrated on, or put a stamp upon. Who is the final arbitrator in that case? Mayappan, sir, 1 second. Suman Siraman, 1 second, please. Mr. Mayappan has not spoken. Mr. Mayappan, this is obviously for an ordinary citizen. It's going to be a very scary situation. You go to deal with your land and suddenly you're told this land doesn't even belong to you, or you need an NOC from a religious organization.
Shivani, so two things first we go with. One with the PL has already been filed by Advocate Ashwini Upadhyay sir. Is challenging under Article 14 and 15, but we also have to look at Article 300A. So any property that I own, even if the Waqf board for some reason determines legitimately that it's their property, they have to follow due process, and that due process will have to be equal and similar to all. So he's saying that they will have to go by the civil procedure code and civil suit is maintainable. But whereas here, the strange part of the Waqf board will determine under section 4 that it is their own property. One of their own appointed persons will identify a property is theirs. Then the determination if that property can be acquired or not will be made by the Waqf board. And if I have to challenge it, I will have to go back to the Waqf board. Only members of the Waqf will be part of the same board. And finally, what will happen is again the Waqf board will determine if I have my right to claim over the property or not. So judge, jury and executioner in this case will be the Waqf board. They will determine as to whose property it is. They will.
But this is absolutely
if I have any
shocking.
dispute, I will have to go back to them with raising the dispute.
This is
So this is a
absolutely
very strange
shocking that a
situation.
law like
Nowhere
this
in law,
exists.
and the strange situation, not just section 40, even 51, where they now just claim right to the property, even right to the registration can be claimed by them. And the strange part in Tamil Nadu now, earlier if I have to claim a property where there is a dispute, I have to obtain no objection certificate or an accompanying signature will have to be there from the disputing party. Strangely now, the Minorities Department in September 2021 has issued a communication to the IG registration on its own volition. I don't know what legal standing, asking him not to register any of such property that are claimed as Waqf properties unless and
That's
otherwise
the problem.
CEO
The
of the
claim
Waqf
can
gives the
exist,
NOC.
but how can a state official recognize that as a claim strong enough to refuse someone who seems to have land papers from dealing with their own land? Just stay with me. We're getting some update. My colleague Purnima has been in Trichy all day and we're getting some update from her. What we're getting to know is that after the villagers raised this concern and alleged that this land grabbing is going on by the Waqf board, the revenue division officer has clarified, saying that the registrar should have checked with higher officials and should not have taken the matter suo moto. The RDO officer has said that villagers can now go ahead with registrations without any hurdles, and the land belongs to the villagers. So it seems like some resolution has taken place. We're also getting a response. Let's listen in.
இந்த ரிஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் சப் ரிஜிஸ்டர் என்ன பண்ணுறாரு, அவராக சிவமோட்டாவாக ஒரு முடிவெடுத்து ஒரு டெசிஷன் எடுத்து அவர் வந்து இதில் வந்து பண்ண முடியாது, என்ஓசி வாங்கிட்டு வந்தால் தான் பண்ண முடியும்னு சொல்லி ஒரு முடிவெடுத்ததுனால ஒரு பெரிய பிரச்சனையாகிட்டு. ஸோ நீங்கள் வந்து ப்ராப்பராக ஒரு ஹையரார்கி டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் அந்த இதில் வந்து டிஆர்ஏ டிஐஜி ஐஜி வரைக்கும் போய் இந்த மேட்டரை டேக் பண்ணி கொண்டு வந்து அவங்கள்ட்டேருந்து ஒரு ப்ராப்பராக ஒரு ஆர்டர் வாங்கினதுக்கு பிறகு தான் இதை நீங்கள் செஞ்சுருக்கணும். ஸோ நீங்கள் எல்லாமே செஞ்சிட்டீங்க. ஸோ இது வந்து இந்த உத்தரவு இது பண்ணிவிட்டு நாளையிலேருந்து ரிஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் பண்ணி கொடுக்கணும் வில்லேஜஸ்க்கு அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நாங்கள் வந்து ஒரு இன்னைக்கு பீஸ் டாக்கில் ஒரு முடிவு எடுத்திருக்கோம்.
Let me go across to my colleague Purnima also, who's tracking these developments. This is an acceptance that something wrong did take place, isn't it, Purnima? The fact that villagers were being denied their right to deal with their own land.
Absolutely. The RDO, in fact, held talks between the Waqf board representatives and the villagers of Thiruchendurai. And what he told us was, the registrar issued a notice and also told the villages that they will not be able to sell their land without obtaining an NOC from the Waqf board. And that itself was wrong, because he did not check with the higher officials and took the decision on his own, and that is not right. So he, in fact, said that it is a mistake of the registrar to stop villagers from selling their land when they had all the right to do so. And secondly, he also said that after speaking with the Waqf board, he says that they still did not submit evidence that all these properties belong to them. So till they get evidence, this notice and this announcement by the registrar will not be valid. Therefore, whoever wants to sell land or buy land in Thiruchendurai village and another village, because 2 villages of the 6 come under his jurisdiction, so for them they can sell land, is what he said. And that was the latest order that was passed after many villagers, in fact, were living in fear that they will perhaps not be able to sell their land. So this
But
is
does this clarify
the intervention
the situation,
of the district
Purnima,
administration.
for all other villages as well, or only 2 villages right now?
At the moment, the RDO is in charge of Srirangam, where there are 2 villages that come under his jurisdiction. So the remaining 4 villages, they still have to wait for their turns, because at the moment it's 2 of the 6 villages that in fact will not have issues starting tomorrow. But the other 4 village people hope that this would also apply to them eventually. So we'll have to wait and see how the collector handles the entire situation. At the moment, 2 of the 6 villages are relieved, but 4 of them still waiting for their turns.
Okay, some correction it seems has happened. JVC Sriram, are you now confident that something like this will not happen again? That no attempts to just claim land that doesn't even belong to you will happen? Are you confident now? Satisfied?
I don't think so, because the ecosystem is operating. On August 18, 2022, the Chief Executive Officer of the Waqf Board writes a letter to the Sub-Registrar, and I'm mentioning Dr. Sumant Raman. It is mentioned Kari Muhyiddin Khan Waqf, Sunni Waqf, name and address, Trichy, Imam Thiruchendurai, whole village is what is mentioned. Now, I've got the details with me, which has been letter communication sent by the CEO of Waqf Board to the Sub-Registrar. And Sub-Registrar went ahead with that letter, because this is how the ecosystem in Tamil Nadu is operating. When a former central minister makes uncharitable comments on Hindus, what else can you expect from these people? Now they've taken a backtrack. That's a different story. I welcome that. But the fear will still be there.
The fear will be there. Srinivasan, do you agree?
Yes, see, this is a systemic flaw. So just because in this issue, as I told today, there was a peace committee meeting and the resolution is based on that, does not solve the problem, because the Waqf is still claiming. And it's not just this village or this district. It is going to be across Tamil Nadu. And like what Ramaswamy Mayathan said, and September 2021, there has been another order that has come in. And this DNK government is hand in glove in doing, like what JVC Sriram said, that they're anti-Hindu, they make anti-Hindu remarks, they're already having issues with temple lands, and they are being charged with minority appeasement. So if when all these things are there, and you connect the dots, this is not a problem that has been sorted by this peace committee meeting that has happened today. They cannot claim, and they are claiming lands that belongs to the temple. For example, a mandapam in which the god deity from Srinagar comes during the annual festival and stays there in that mandapam, meets the god as it goes back. That mandapam is being claimed by the what? How ridiculous can it get?
No, that is precisely the problem here. Even the claim in itself is a problem. Whether that claim is eventually recognized or not, how can you even go around claiming not just people's personal land, but even temple land? That's the biggest issue. But I do thank
people who have stayed for generations. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is, well, as you said, it could be a blessing in disguise that this, case came to light, and others will be more advised to understand what may or may not be happening there. Let me just also point out, there is a list of Waqf property that I have with me. If you leave aside the state of Karnataka, leave aside the state of Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal, the fourth highest number or amount of land that the Waqf owns in any state in India is actually in Tamil Nadu. So we are talking about large parcels and large expanses of land. I end this segment on that note, shifting our attention to the other big story we're tracking.